What if Hollywood's golden age wasn't all glitter and grace, but glamour glued together with lies? Imagine Marilyn Monroe hiding childhood trauma behind a breathy giggle, or Rock Hudson fake marrying his secretary to stay in the closet. These weren't just stars, they were studio-built myths wrapped in secrets juicier than a TMZ headline. Buckle up. We're diving behind the velvet curtain, and trust us, it's messier than a celebrity divorce. Number 1. Bobby Darin, the teen idol raised by his grandma, who was actually his mom. Bobby Darin had swagger, talent, and a Brooklyn attitude that screamed, "I've got this." He was the slick crooner behind Splish Splash and Mac the Knife, a teenage heartthrob with a drive fueled by one ticking clock. Doctors told him he wouldn't live past 30, so he hustled, conquered music, married Sandra Dee, and owned every stage he walked on. Then came the real plot twist. At age 32, Bobby found out his sister was actually his mother, and his mother, yeah, she was his grandmother. Suddenly, his entire life had the emotional whiplash of a Maury episode. Turns out his biological mom, Nina, was just 17 when she had him, and in classic 1930s fashion, the family rearranged the truth like furniture. Bobby grew up idolizing Polly, the woman he thought was his mom, only to learn later that she was his grandma playing pretend. The revelation wrecked him. Already living on borrowed time due to a childhood heart condition, Bobby spiraled into an identity crisis. He ditched his polished image, moved to Big Sur, grew a mustache, emotional coping mechanism, and went full folk singer philosopher.
Number 2. Raymond Burr, the TV hero who invented a family that never existed. On screen, Raymond Burr was Perry Mason, the unshakable courtroom crusader who could crack any case. Off-screen, he was crafting a backstory so dramatic even soap operas would have said, "Tone it down, buddy." See, Burr had a problem. He was a gay man in 1950s Hollywood, a place where being out could kill your career faster than a bad box office. So he got creative. He told the press he had a wife, Annette, who tragically died in a plane crash, and a son, Yep, also tragically gone taken by leukemia. The only issue, neither of them ever existed. Not even a little bit. This wasn't a fib, it was an Oscar-worthy performance. Burr gave interviews with detailed memories of this imaginary family, their wedding date, his son's favorite toy, the heartbreak. All fake. Hollywood's ultimate improv. Meanwhile, in real life, Burr was living quietly on a vineyard with his partner of 35 years, Robert Benavides. Their love was real tender and utterly off the radar. When asked personal questions, Burr would go full courtroom objection, "I don't discuss that." But here's the kicker, while inventing a fake son, Burr became a real-life hero to hundreds of foster kids. He donated quietly, paid for surgeries, school tuitions, and lifted up lives no one else saw. Number 3. Marilyn Monroe, the orphan, the bombshell, and the breakdown. Before she was Marilyn Monroe, she was Norma Jean, just another foster kid with a dream and a stutter. She bounced through 11 homes by age 16, mastered the art of looking adorable to avoid being sent back, and even married the boy next door just to dodge an orphanage. Her breathy voice, not a sexy affectation. It was childhood trauma in high heels. Hollywood turned her into the ultimate bombshell, but inside she was still that scared little girl afraid everyone would leave. Spoiler, they usually did. Marilyn collected broken hearts like Oscars, 3 divorces, affairs with presidents, and nightly panic calls to friends just to avoid being alone. Behind the glam, she was self-medicating with pills, alcohol, and affection from the most powerful men alive. It was less a love life and more a cry for help in red lipstick. By 36, the world's most famous woman was found dead alone, overdosed, and still searching for someone to stay. Marilyn's story isn't just tragic. It's the blueprint for how Hollywood builds icons from pain, then forgets to catch them when they fall. Number 4. Clark Gable and Loretta Young. The secret baby Hollywood pretended didn't exist. Picture this: 1935, Clark Gable, the king of Hollywood, is filming The Call of the Wild. Off-camera, he and co-star Loretta Young are making well more than just a movie. One unplanned pregnancy later, Loretta disappears from the spotlight, pops out a baby in secret places, her in an orphanage, then heroically adopts her own child. Hollywood magic baby. Enter Judy Lewis, the baby who grew up wondering why she looked suspiciously like Rhett Butler. Gable never acknowledged her. Young denied everything until Judy was grown and basically Sherlocked the truth out of her. Why the cover-up? Loretta was Catholic, single, and under contract, 3 things you did not mix with motherhood in 1930s Hollywood. The scandal was buried deeper than Jimmy Hoffa. Even Judy's ears had to be pinned back as a child to hide her resemblance to Gable. Yes, really. Decades later, Judy turned her pain into power, becoming an actress and advocate, while Loretta finally confessed, racked with guilt but relieved. As for Clark, he strutted off into legend, never saying a word. Number 5. Jack Nicholson, the ultimate plot twist. Your sister is your mother. Jack Nicholson thought he had a pretty normal upbringing, well, as normal as it gets in New Jersey, with a flair for drama. Raised by a loving mother named Ethel and a cool older sister named June, Jack grew up rebellious, charming, and destined to be a star. But at age 37, a Time magazine reporter casually dropped the bomb. "Hey Jack, did you know your sister is actually your mom?" Plot twist of the century. Turns out June had gotten pregnant at 17, and in a masterclass of 1930s scandal avoidance, the family decided to raise baby Jack as her brother, not her son. Grandma Ethel played the role of mom so convincingly, even Jack didn't suspect a thing. And by the time the truth came out, both women had already passed away, leaving Jack to process one of the biggest wait what moments in Hollywood family history. The wildest part, Jack took it like a champ. No public meltdowns, no tabloid tantrums, just a lot of deep thinking and a few iconic smirks. Number 6. Spencer Tracy, the devoted husband who lived with his girlfriend for 26 years. Spencer Tracy, the screen legend with a face made for black and white drama and a moral compass that pointed straight to tortured. Audiences adored him as the good guy, the priest, the all-American dad. But behind the scenes, let's just say Tracy's personal life was a 26-year balancing act between sin, guilt, and 2 women who never made a scene. He married Louise Treadwell in 1923. They had a deaf son, which Spencer took as divine punishment for, well, something, and promptly started spiraling into alcoholism and Catholic guilt. Divorce not an option. He was a good Catholic, remember? But cheating? Apparently okay, if it came with enough shame. Enter Katharine Hepburn, the ultimate other woman, who never pushed, never married him, and never once made it public. For over 2 decades, she was his ride or die from a discreet distance. Tracy lived with Hepburn, loved her, and kept Louise officially on the books. Publicly, he was a family man. Privately, he was a romantic triangle wrapped in a bottle of scotch. But here's the twist. While Spencer was guilt-tripping through life, Louise was changing the world. She founded the John Tracy Clinic for Deaf Children, an institution that still helps thousands. And Hepburn quietly supported her too. Number 7. Joan Crawford. Mommy Dearest or Mommy Deceptive? Joan Crawford was the ultimate Hollywood queen, eyebrows sharp enough to slice glass gowns tighter than studio contracts, and a work ethic that scared even her co-stars. But beneath the perfectly posed family portraits was a maternal meltdown waiting to blow. To the public, she was supermom, adopting 4 kids, answering fan mail with lipstick kisses, and running her home like it was the MGM lot. But behind closed doors, her daughter Christina told a very different story, complete with beatings, vodka-fueled rants, and that infamous line, "Number wire." Hangers. In her memoir, Mommy Dearest, Christina painted Joan as a control freak in couture, more Cruella than caretaker. Crawford's younger children denied the abuse, but by then, the damage to her image was done. America's favorite movie mom became the face of household horror. And just when it couldn't get messier, enter Georgia Tann, the shady baby broker who helped Joan adopt 2 of her kids. Let's just say the paperwork wasn't exactly ethical. But here's the twist: Joan was also deeply generous. She paid hospital bills for strangers, mentored struggling actors, and showed up to set with her lines memorized, and everyone else's too. Number 8. Bing Crosby, White Christmas, Dark Parenting. To the world, Bing Crosby was Mr. Christmas, the velvet voice behind White Christmas, the priest with a wink, the dad everyone wished they had. But according to his real-life sons, try father knows best with a belt. Gary Crosby, Bing's eldest, dropped the holiday cheer in his memoir Going My Own Way, claiming dad was more disciplinarian than crooner. Weekly weigh-ins, emotional coldness, and the occasional whack if you didn't hit the right note. 2 brothers backed him up. One even ended his own life. Cue the awkward silence under the mistletoe. But wait, the sequel has a twist. Bing's second family, with a much younger wife, painted a completely different picture. He was warm, affectionate, present at school plays and PTA meetings. Either Bing took a serious parenting seminar between marriages, or somebody's not telling the full story. So which Bing is real? The pipe-smoking, golf-loving TV dad, or the off-pitch disciplinarian? Maybe both. Maybe fame pressure and personal demons split him down the middle. Number 9. Merle Oberon, the star who hid her past better than the CIA. Merle Oberon lit up the screen in Wuthering Heights with her regal beauty and exotic charm. Hollywood said she was from aristocratic roots in Tasmania, sophisticated, mysterious, British. But here's the twist: Merle was actually born in Bombay, India, to a 14-year-old mother of mixed race. Surprise. The truth was too spicy for 1930s Hollywood, so the studio pulled off a cover-up worthy of MI6. They rewrote her origin story, shipped her birthplace to Tasmania. Bonus local records were destroyed in a fire. How convenient, and promoted her as royalty in heels. Her own mother publicly rebranded as her maid. Her actual identity buried under layers of foundation, studio spin, and fear. Merle spent years dodging cameras, questions, and any sunlight that might reveal her complexion. Even her husband didn't know the truth. To maintain the illusion, she endured painful light treatments to appear whiter, and refused to return to Australia just in case someone shouted, "You're not from here, love." But beneath the lies was a generous, deeply sensitive soul. She gave thousands to children's charities, and quietly battled the loneliness of living a life that wasn't truly hers. Number 10. Rita Hayworth, Hollywood's love goddess with a vanishing act for her identity. Before she was Rita Hayworth, she was Margarita Carmen Cancino, a talented Spanish-American dancer with hips that didn't lie and a last name that made studio execs sweat. Hollywood looked at her and said, "Too ethnic." So what did they do? Gave her a new name, dyed her dark hair auburn, and wait for it, burned her hairline back with electrolysis to make her look less Latin. Yes, folks, they literally erased her roots one follicle at a time. But the makeover wasn't just skin deep. Behind the sultry smirk of Gilda, Rita was hiding a secret far darker than her natural hair: childhood abuse at the hands of her own father, who paraded her around as his dance partner since she was 12. The world saw glamour. She remembered trauma. She once said, "Men go to bed with Gilda and wake up with me," a heartbreaking mic drop from someone forever trapped between who she was and who Hollywood told her to be. As if that weren't enough, fate served her one last cruel twist: early onset Alzheimer's. By her 40s, people assumed she was drunk or difficult. In reality, she was losing her memories, including the painful ones she never got to heal. In her final years, she sometimes slipped back into Spanish, the one part of her real self that refused to stay hidden. Because no matter how hard Hollywood tried, the truth always finds a way to dance back into the spotlight. Number 11. Rock Hudson, Hollywood's heartthrob in a heterosexual disguise. In the 1950s, Rock Hudson wasn't just a movie star, he was the movie star. Tall, square-jawed, dreamy. The kind of man your mom swooned over and your dad secretly envied. But behind that all-American grin, a secret big enough to shake Hollywood's manscaped foundation. Rock was gay, and in a town where being out could end your career faster than a bad haircut, that wasn't an option. So when rumors started swirling in 1955, his agent went full Mission Impossible and arranged a fake marriage to his secretary, Phyllis Gates. Voila, America's Bachelor King became a husband overnight. Paparazzi snapped, fans swooned, and the truth stayed buried, at least for a while. The marriage lasted 3 years, the public image much longer. Meanwhile, Rock lived a double-life rom-com, lead by day, closeted man by night. He dated men in secret, dodged tabloids like landmines, and kept up the charade with the precision of a method actor. But then came 1985. Rock Hudson became the first major celebrity to publicly disclose he had AIDS. In that moment, the Hollywood illusion shattered, and something real, raw, and incredibly brave took its place. Number 12. Clara Bow, the original It Girl, with a past that was anything but glamorous. Clara Bow was the roaring 20s personified flapper dresses, finger waves, and enough sex appeal to short-circuit every silent film projector in town. She wasn't just a star, she was the star. But off-screen, Clara's life was less Great Gatsby and more trauma wrapped in sequins. Born in a Brooklyn tenement in 1905, Clara grew up surrounded by chaos. Her mom diagnosed with mental illness and once tried to kill her in her sleep. Her dad, let's just say abusive, doesn't even scratch the surface. She escaped poverty by winning a beauty contest, and Hollywood snapped her up faster than you can say silent siren. But studios weren't interested in her pain, just her pout. They rewrote her backstory, slapped on some rouge, and sold her as the carefree party girl with it. Behind the scenes, Clara was battling PTSD, insomnia, and crushing anxiety. Fame made it worse. Tabloids salivated over her love life, painting her as wild and promiscuous, when really she was just trying to survive. By 28, she'd had enough. She walked away from fame, retired to Nevada, and lived quietly far from the cameras that once adored her. Number 13. Lon Chaney Sr. The man of 1,000 faces and 2 very silent parents. Lon Chaney wasn't just a silent film legend, he was silence. Best known for haunting classics like The Phantom of the Opera and The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Chaney could twist his face and body into anything. But his true superpower, speaking volumes without saying a word. Why? Because both his parents were deaf. Born in 1883, Lon grew up in a household where sign language was the family soundtrack. He learned early how to communicate with his eyes, his hands, his entire body. Basically, mime wasn't a performance, it was a way of life. While other kids were learning to talk, Lon was learning to speak through movement, and he'd use that skill to terrify and mesmerize audiences worldwide. But here's the part that'll make you misty. Chaney never flaunted this origin story. In an era when disabilities were whispered about or hidden, he protected his parents fiercely. Even his first wife didn't know they were deaf until she met them. Surprise, his empathy for outsiders, the misunderstood, the monstrous, the lonely, wasn't an act. He'd lived it. Off-screen, he supported his parents, stayed humble, and never gave interviews. Because why talk when you can let your work scream? Number 14. Gene Tierney, the Hollywood tragedy no one saw coming except that one fan. Gene Tierney was the kind of star who didn't just light up the screen, she hypnotized it. Sultry, elegant, untouchable. But behind her flawless face was a real-life plot twist so tragic, even Agatha Christie couldn't have written it better. Actually, she did more on that in a sec. In 1943, Jean was pregnant and doing what Hollywood stars do, shaking hands at war bond events. One fan, desperate for an autograph, broke quarantine from a rubella outbreak just to meet her. Sweet gesture, sure. Deadly, absolutely. The result, Jean's daughter Daria was born blind, deaf, and severely disabled. Jean was shattered. The fan later bragged about the encounter, not knowing she'd basically rewritten Jean's life into a Greek tragedy. Unable to cope, Jean placed Daria in a private institution, a decision kept secret while she posed on red carpets, perfectly composed. But inside, she was falling apart. Mental breakdowns, electroshock therapy, memory loss. It got so bad she forgot entire years of her life, including moments with her healthy second daughter. Oh, and that Agatha Christie novel, The Mirror Cracked, was inspired by her. So yes, Gene Tierney is literally the face of fictionalized emotional devastation. Number 15. Barbara Stanwyck, the toughest dame in Hollywood. Except when it came to her son, Barbara Stanwyck was Hollywood's ultimate steel magnolia, sharp, classy, and ready to slap a man across the face and win an Oscar while doing it. But behind the fierce femme fatale persona was one role she never quite nailed: mother. In 1932, she and actor Frank Fay adopted a baby boy, Dion, hoping a little bundle of joy might fix their train wreck of a marriage. Spoiler, it didn't. Frank drank, Barbara worked, and after the divorce, she raised Dion solo while juggling a blazing hot career. She gave him everything: top tutors, nannies, the best Hollywood could buy, except maybe warmth. Turns out Stanwyck's version of love was more contract negotiation than cuddle session. By the time Dion hit his teens, things got frosty fast. The older he got, the more distant she became. In her later years, when asked about him, Barbara coolly said, "I have no son." Ouch. That's not a burn, it's an emotional flamethrower. Rumor has it Dion had his own demon substance abuse brushes with the law, but no one's really sure. Barbara kept her private life under tighter security than Fort Knox. When she passed, Dion got $5,000 in her will. Translation, the legal minimum, to keep him from suing. Number 16. Jerry Lewis, America's funny man unless you were his alleged daughter. Jerry Lewis made the world laugh for decades, rubber-faced, loud, outrageous, and somehow always tripping over invisible furniture. He raised billions for Jerry's kids through his legendary telethons. But one kid he never raised, his own maybe. Enter Susan Minaret, a woman who spent her life saying, "Hi. I think Jerry Lewis is my dad," while Lewis spent his life replying, "Never heard of her." According to Susan, her mother had a years-long affair with Lewis in the 1950s. 9 months later, ta-da, Susan. Did Jerry ever meet her? Nope. Take a paternity test? Nah. Return her letters? Also no. In fact, he went full ghost before ghosting was even a thing. But science had something to say. In 2009, a DNA test showed an 88.7% chance that Lewis was indeed her father. That's not maybe. That's, get him a mug that says Mopro. Dad reluctantly. Oh, and as if the irony gods weren't done while Jerry raised money for sick kids on TV Susan, his alleged daughter lived in poverty and battled Crohn's disease. And when Jerry died, he left millions to everyone but her. And his 6 sons from his first marriage also cut out. Clearly, Jerry loved drama as much off-screen as he did on it. Number 17. Charlie Chaplin, comedy genius or underage bride collector. Spoiler. Both Charlie Chaplin made the world laugh without saying a word. The tramp with the cane, the mustache, and the heart. But off-screen, let's just say he had a thing for younger women. And by younger, we mean barely out of homeroom. In 1924, at age 35, Chaplin fell for 16-year-old Lita Gray during filming of The Gold Rush. When she got pregnant, he didn't rush to the altar. He rushed to Mexico, where laws were looser, and scandals could be quietly sealed with a wedding ring. But the marriage totaled disaster. Lita gave birth to 2 sons, while Chaplin allegedly womanized, criticized, and emotionally steamrolled her. Their eventual divorce was a tabloid goldmine. Lita's 50-page complaint read like a soap opera written by someone with a grudge and a typewriter. Chaplin had a history, multiple relationships with teenage girls, each swept under the rug with studio pressure and PR spin. But while the headlines screamed scandal, audiences kept showing up for his movies. And here's the twist. The man accused of exploiting young women created films filled with deep empathy for the poor, the powerless, the voiceless. Go figure. Number 18. Gloria Graham, the femme fatale who married her stepson. Yep, you read that right. Gloria Graham was the queen of film noir, sultry voice, smoldering gaze, and a kiss that spelled certain doom. But her most shocking plot twist didn't happen on screen, it happened in her bedroom. In the late 1940s, Gloria married director Nicholas Ray. So far, so standard. Until he allegedly walked in one night and caught her in bed with his 13-year-old son, Tony. Yep, his son. Gloria denied it. They divorced, and the incident vanished into hush-hush Hollywood whispers. Fast forward a few years, Gloria reconnects with Tony, now a grown man, and in true wait-what fashion. They get married in a secret ceremony in Tijuana. She was 37. He was 22. So yes, Gloria officially became her own ex-stepson's wife. Try explaining that at family dinners. When the press finally caught wind of the story during a custody battle, her career flatlined faster than a bad test screening. Studios blacklisted her, the public gasped, and Gloria took her talents to theater and low-budget TV. And yet the marriage lasted 14 years. Was it scandalous? Absolutely. Messy, for sure. But friends said Gloria was vulnerable, childlike, always chasing the love and stability she never had growing up. Number 19. Ingrid Bergman, from Hollywood's sweetheart to public enemy number 1. Ingrid Bergman was the ultimate good girl, luminous, wholesome, practically glowing with virtue. After Casablanca and the Bells of St. Mary's America saw her as the poster woman for class and moral purity. So when she dared to have gasp a personal life, the nation lost its collective mind. In 1949, while married, Ingrid flew to Italy to work with neo-realist director Roberto Rossellini. They fell in love, made the film Stromboli, and plot twist, she got pregnant. Before the film even hit theaters, Ingrid was starring in a real-life scandal. The backlash was so intense the U.S. Senate literally denounced her. Yes, the Senate. As in, actual politicians stopped what they were doing to scold Ingrid for getting laid. Suddenly, she went from America's sweetheart to Hollywood's harlot. Her movies were banned. Churches boycotted her. Fans wrote hate mail. Meanwhile, Rossellini shrugged in Italian. But Ingrid wasn't hiding. She married Rossellini, had 3 kids, including future actress Isabella Rossellini, and made some of the most artistically bold films of her career, far from the judgmental glare of Tinseltown. 7 years later, she returned to Hollywood with Anastasia and won an Oscar, because if there's one thing Hollywood loves more than a scandal, it's a comeback. It's a comeback. It's a comeback. It's a comeback.